Occasionally I post videos that try to debunk claims made by, for example, creationists. And a lot of people appreciate what I'm doing there, but there are also some people who arrive in the comment section and they say things like, look, what you're saying is all perfectly valid and makes an awful lot of sense. However, you're never going to convince a creationist that they're wrong, and aren't you really wasting your time here? And whenever somebody says something like that, I think back to 30 years ago, when I was a young boy in my early teens, about 11, 12, 13. And when I was 11, I had figured out that I simply could not believe in the God that I was brought up to believe in. I was brought up as a Catholic, and it just made no sense to me whatsoever. So I was an atheist. But of course, having been brought up in a religious context, even though it wasn't very strict by any means or very strongly religious, still you were brought up to believe in something, and now that had fallen away, so naturally I started looking around for other things to believe in or to make sense of what was going on. So I read an awful lot of interesting books on the subject. For example, Fritjof Capra's The Tao of Physics, for example. Well, those type of books were really, I was really into those at the time. I also read a number of books by a German con artist by the name of Erich von Dänikens. Now, he wrote a number of books that were basically based on the premise that extraterrestrials had visited the Earth in the past and interacted with ancient civilizations, yada 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 yada. Were the gods astronauts, or looking at, for example, the art that you see in Peru, I think it was, or in the Andes somewhere, where they've drawn things on the ground that you can only see from an aeroplane. And he was arriving at all sorts of fantastic conclusions based on these things. And I was reading them as a young boy and getting very carried away with those, thinking like, the way he presented it, he used an awful lot of false dichotomies, for example. And he was saying like, it can either be this or it can be that. It obviously isn't this, so therefore, and of course, not having been honed in the art of spotting bullshit, I was very impressed by this and tended to believe it. And I still remember one day, I think it was in my granny's house, I don't remember exactly where, and of all places, this was in a woman's gossip magazine. And I was bored, and I was flicking through this, and it said something like, there was a little article in it, and it said, Von Däniken debunked. Something of that nature. And of course, I was looking at this and said like, come on, what is this woman's magazine going to say that could possibly debunk what this man has written such big books about? And I read the article, and it was, I don't remember who wrote it or whatever, but it was a perfect use of Occam's razor. And they demolished von Däniken in this article. In a woman's magazine, in a woman's gossip magazine. And that is why I make videos like this. There are 10 or 12 or 13-year-olds out there who are currently wondering what to believe in, who have come from religious backgrounds and who can't believe in the bullshit anymore, but don't know what to believe in. And you never know what they might come across in their search for sense. And if it happens to be one of my videos that inoculates them against pseudoscience, charlatans, con artists and religious nutters, then it will all have been worthwhile. So don't ever think that this is a waste of time.